Hi, today I'm going to cover workflows. Workflows are how Gravity manages your work effectively. To access the workflows, we're going to click on the gear in the top right corner of Gravity, and then underneath users will be workflows. We're going to click on that. Here we see all the workflows in your Gravity. There are 4 operations that we can do with any workflow in Gravity. We can copy a workflow. This makes it easy to duplicate workflows. If you need to add a new team to something, we can edit a workflow. This edit tab changes the name and description. We can delete a workflow, and we can edit the stages of a workflow. Editing the stages of a workflow is how you actually change the workflow itself. In the top right, we can see a search bar that searches for workflows by name. Now we're going to edit stages. Here we are at the workflow canvas. Workflows read from left to right. So if we want to edit things in this workflow, we can click on either Add Status, or we can double click on any of the boxes to reach the Edit Status menu. Here we can change the name of the status. There are many predefined workflow names for you to choose from by clicking the drop-down box. We can add a description. We can even change the color of the step, noting that the color will be adjusted to meet accessibility standards. The next part of the workflow, which is the most interesting, is the rules. The rules are effectively who can see, suggest, and edit each part of the workflow. There are 3 types of permissions in the rules. There are the edit permissions, which allow users to edit anything in the workflow. The suggest allows users to add comments to any object in the workflow. And the view permissions, which allow users to see anything in the workflow. You can add users very easily by clicking on the boxes and selecting a user from the drop-down menu. We can also add groups by clicking on the box and selecting a group from the drop-down menu or typing the group name. Remember to click Apply after you're done working on anything in the workflows. Now, we see that there are arrows between every status. These arrows can be drawn by clicking and dragging, or we can click on the Add Transition. To edit a transition, we can double-click on any arrow. Here, we can change the name, we can change the color, add a description. But what's important about transitions is their conditions and triggers. The conditions disallow some users from moving the object forward in the workflow, ensuring that work does not get skipped over if used. There's also the triggers. The triggers can sign a spreadsheet if need be. The triggers can also submit work to the data store, which is the database which all your information is kept in Gravity. And it can also email users at the destination step. For instance, if you want someone to review the material after it's moved to this transition, if you select email users at destination step, this is very useful for people who are very busy and need reminders. Remember to click Save at the top right of any workflow after you are done working with it. To create a workflow from scratch, let's go to the button in the bottom right corner with a plus sign. We have to add a name and a description for the workflow to be valid. Once we have loaded in this workflow, we will see that it is outlined in red. This red shows that this workflow is not ready to be used yet. So let's go and edit the stages to make this workflow usable. First, we're going to have to add a status and transitions. We can repeat the steps we have used from the editing a workflow. So to create transitions, we can click and drag, or we can click the Add Transition, selecting the source step and the target step. So manager review to submit for publication, click Add. This option always connects the top left corners, which might not be aesthetic for your choices, but has no impact on functionality. It is important to note that the transitions show the paths that your workflow can move. In this case, department data entry can only go into manager review, and manager review can only go to submit for publication. Then we're going to have to select the endpoints. Click on the Select Endpoint menu and select the first step and the last step. This makes it so that this workflow is valid. Without a first and a last step, the workflow will be unable to be used. Congratulations, we've learned everything we need to know about workflows, and you can get to managing your work effectively in Gravity.